topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Churchill said, "Those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it." Kevin Hallinan believes that certainly applies to business. Welcome to Winning Business Radio, here at W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. And now, your host, Kevin Hallinan.
Thanks, everybody, for joining in again today. I'm Kevin Hallinan. Welcome back to Winning Business TV and Radio. We're on W4CY.com, streaming live on Talk4TV.com, in addition to Facebook, that's at Winning Business Radio, as well as available in podcast after the live show on tons of platforms, including YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, pretty much wherever you like to listen to your favorite podcasts. The mission of Winning Business Radio and TV, as regular listeners know, viewers and listeners now, is to offer insights and advice to help people avoid the mistakes of others, right? To learn best practices, the how-tos, the what-tos, the what-not-tos, to be challenged and certainly and hopefully to be inspired by the successes of others. But you know, virtually every successful person I've ever had a chance to talk to has had some form of failure in their lives and careers. So listen, while we all have to get our knees skinned once in a while, I'm driven to keep those scrapes from needing major surgery. Let's endeavor to learn from history so we don't repeat it. Today, my guest is Kris Whitehead, leadership and mindset coach, business consultant, keynote speaker, and founder and owner of Iconic Alliance. Here's his bio. Kris Whitehead, as you heard, is the founder and owner of Iconic Alliance, a whole life and business coaching program designed to help business owners and entrepreneurs excel in every area of their lives. Kris believes that a holistic approach to coaching that encompasses every aspect of a person's life is the best way to help his clients build successful and sustainable businesses. He first started in the coaching space in 2010 with his program Think to Succeed. Along with his late business partner, Lonnie Robertson, Kris grew Think to Succeed to a worldwide coaching practice in mere months. He's now brought all of that experience and knowledge, along with over 25 years as a business owner in multiple other industries, to the Iconic Alliance program. Kris not only is a best-selling author, the book is Becoming Iconic, How to Make Today's Ceiling Tomorrow's Floor, but also currently owns and operates 3 successful businesses and has grown 5 over the last 17 years, ranging from 2 renovation and design companies, real estate investing, and several profitable online businesses. He was also the director of executive coaching for an online coaching and development company that he helped build to 8 figures. His goal is to help his clients win at business, at relationships, and life. Kris lives and works in New Hampshire. Kris, welcome to Winning Business TV and Radio, and thanks for being here. I got all the way to the end, too, and then choked, huh?
Hey, man, I'm telling you what,
you
can be my MC anytime that I happen to get up on stage, because you just reminded me of about
there on the internet.
Oh, can you hear me now?
All right, everybody, just bear with us. We'll fix this in just a moment.
Are we good to go?
Great smile, though. There he is. There he is. I'm just going to say, feel free to visit his website at some point after the show at iconicalliance.com. Kris, welcome to Winning Business TV and Radio.
Kevin, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And even with that little bit of fumble at the end, I'm telling you, you can be my MC anytime I get on stage. You reminded me of 25 years of overcoming, because that's what business is really all about.
Tell you what, we'll take a break. We'll fix this technical difficulty. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan on W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. Don't go away. More helpful information is coming right up, right here on Winning Business Radio.
Have you ever dreamt of being on the radio? Well, now is your chance. Be a radio show guest on the #1 ranked internet radio station and promote you and your business for free. Yes, you heard it, free. Business advertising right here on W4CY.com. Call 561-506-4031 now to get booked on one of our shows. That's 561-506-4031. Get your free advertising now.
And now back to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan, presenting exciting topics and expert guests with one goal in mind, to help you succeed in business. Here once again is Kevin Hallinan.
Okay, we'll take another shot at that. Kris, welcome. There we go. Welcome to Winning Business TV and Radio. Apologize for the internet.
Is that better, Kevin? Can you hear me?
I can't hear a thing. I can hear all the commercial. I can hear the intro. I can hear everything but Kris. Kris is frozen.
Kevin, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, so I can hear both of you, both Kris and Kevin, and the video is fine.
I've been on
So
the internet.
check your headphone connection.
No, it's not that. It's his he's frozen in the screen.
He looks fine on my end.
And I'm hearing that digital chirp as well.
Try refreshing your screen.
All right, one sec.
And I have now taken over the internet, everyone. This is now. This is technology. We're all getting used to it post-COVID, aren't we?
All right, there we go. All right, we're going to try this again. I can see you perfectly. I can see you move. You're not frozen.
All right.
Well, let's try. Let's say again. Hey, Kris, welcome to Winning Business TV and Radio.
Kevin, thank you for having me on your show. And as I was saying, you're reading my bio. Someone on my team wrote it. I wrote it. Mm-hmm. But one of the things we as business leaders forget, and this is for everyone in your audience to listen to, is you've accomplished a lot of amazing things in your life, and you've probably also scraped your knee. And it's probably really good that you take time to recount all of the times you've won, because you just read about all the wins.
Right.
Not all of the things that I went through to get to those wins. And hopefully today on this show, we can talk about it to help some people out. So thank you for having me here, sir.
Perfect. You got it. I like to start with some background. So without taking too long, but tell us as much as you want. We have an hour here. Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Virginia, in Southern Virginia. My parents got divorced when I was 2. So I also had the opportunity to get on a Greyhound bus every other weekend and drive 4 hours to Northern Virginia, where my dad lived.
Wow.
And it was a massive culture shock.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was a pain in the butt. As I've gotten older, I see that I was actually gifted the opportunity to see how different people in different kinds of locales live and how to communicate with them and how to fulfill needs. So it was actually a huge blessing.
So what were your early interests through high school as you started to form, as a young man?
So up until about the age of 15, it was baseball. Everything was baseball. My family sacrificed for baseball. We did not go on vacations because I was always playing, and the goal was to play pro ball. At 15, girls became the thing.
Can we be a professional at that?
Kevin, I tried really hard, man. They never gave me a certificate though. But I also started to get into other things, drama. Believe it or not, I loved acting, and I loved the energy that went around it. And between that and hunting and hanging out with friends, all the things kids do in the South, I had a really magical life. We had a lot of land. We had a lot of freedom. The only thing probably that I missed out on was what was actually going on in the rest of the world. And by the time I went to college, I started to find out.
Give us an example.
So I did not know who the Doors were the musical group. I did not know who the Grateful Dead were. I did not know who Led Zeppelin was. And
Wow.
all of my friends are
Yeah.
sitting over here listening to music, and I'm like, what is this strange noise that I've never heard before? Um, so there was a huge. I was just very, very naive. I
Yeah.
lived I
Yeah.
lived in the South, very protected, playing sports literally for a career besides going to school. And I realized, and this was the hard one, in my school, I was in the top 30% in high school.
Mhm.
When I went to college, I didn't put it together that was all the top 30% from
Everywhere.
everywhere. So
Right.
I had a huge learning curve, man.
As did I. I have to tell you, I did.
But that was one huge example, and
Yep.
the other,
Yep.
my shoulder ended up going out my senior year in high school because I was a pitcher and an outfielder.
Mhm.
I went for tryouts for baseball. I went to James Madison University, and I was in the outfield, center field, threw the ball with a crow hop, and it made it to second base, and that was the end of
Mhm.
my baseball career.
That was it, huh?
And that
Wow.
was it. And so it was a pivotal moment in my life of, am I going to redefine who I am,
Mhm.
or am I
Mhm.
just going to allow life to throw me around? And I struggled for a few years, but that was when purpose started setting in. And I'm really, really grateful for it.
That's awesome. Again, it's great to have victories. We got to celebrate the wins. We got to have wins. We want to be successful. But, I didn't used to like to talk about a personal bankruptcy way back in the 90s. And now it's just part of who I am, right? I
Yep.
don't want to go through it. I wouldn't want you to go through it. But because I did, it's made me who I am in part, right? It all shapes us. So
And
don't want to.
I think a lot of people, I've had the opportunity to coach thousands of people at
Yeah.
this point, from stage, one on one. I've been
Hmm.
doing it for well over a decade.
Hmm.
And yeah, people might be blitzed and glam by the wins. They might
Right.
buy because of the wins, but when
Right.
people come to you, they come to you with problems.
You bet.
And for me, I was able to turn my greatest weaknesses into my strengths by seeing them, number one, all the way through. So I'm really proud that I never quit on me. But more importantly, I was able to empathize with what someone was going through and say, hey, I know exactly how you feel.
Mm.
Sitting here is like a dog sitting on a rusty nail. All you're going to do is yelp. Let's talk about what we can do to start to move forward. And the first thing that always happens is in the mind. It's not action. Everybody thinks it's action. I used
Yeah.
to be the king of that. Like, I was push on the pull door kind of guy. But when I started slowing down and setting my mind up for the next win, I found I would get a lot more success a lot more quickly instead of being reactionary.
That's good. Take us through some early jobs, and I like to get a sense of, again, those early experiences start to shape us. So, a- after college, first professional job, what did you do?
So my first professional job was actually at Radio Shack.
No kidding, yeah,
And yep, it's no longer around, but
right, yeah,
I started in a retail store, and by the second day I was the number one salesman in the store, and three people quit. By the end of the first year, I was the number one salesman in the Eastern region, and I really
nice,
wasn't working that hard.
yeah,
But I was very attentive to customer satisfaction, and the other thing I was attentive to is I realized that the reason I was the number one salesman was not because I was a better sales guy. It was because I closed more tickets than everybody else.
hmm,
And so
hmm,
what would happen is the computer sale or the cell phone sale, it would just by numbers show up. And I was luckier because over a week's time, I probably got 100 to 200 more transactions. And that all stopped one day, Kevin, when an older fellow, probably my age now, he looked at me across the counter and he goes, "You don't belong here." And I turned red because I knew in my heart that I'd kind of maybe set my sights a little lower than what I thought I was capable of.
yeah.
And that led me to starting my first business, which I had no business doing.
And what was that business?
So it started out, so here's how it worked.
Yeah,
I was in Radio Shack. I was on a break. I had the yellow pages. Yes, there is a thing that is called the yellow pages, everyone. And it used to be filled with about 1,000 pieces of paper that were yellow. And
yep.
it
And
had a
we used to be
whole
able to
bunch,
sit on it or stand on it if you wanted to sit higher or stand higher.
right? And I literally started cold calling to mow lawns because when I was
Wow,
16, I mowed lawns and I was making $35 an hour versus $3.50 an hour at a job.
yeah,
And so the first thing I did was the simplest thing I could find. And I ended up getting a real estate guy who said, I don't have any lawns to mow, but I do have a countertop that needs to be installed. And I said, sold. And then I quickly ran to Lowe's and picked up a book on how to install countertops. And now we own a multi-7-figure design build company. So go figure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I want to ask you about that for sure. Do you have kids, family?
Yes, we do. So we have 3 children. 2 of them are twins,
Nice.
boy, girl. And then we have one that's a year younger. And we have 21-year-olds and a soon to be 20-year-old. And I tell you what, everybody keeps us on our toes. They're growing.
I bet. What are they like? What are they into?
Oh, so our daughter is actually studying to become a dentist.
Nice.
She is going to graduate in January from her 4-year degree, and she's applying to dental schools now.
You can tell her, if you want, you can tell her about this show that I had the discipline to not use the dentist dad jokes. Just FYI. All right.
Okay. Thank you. I'll let her know. One of our sons actually works for me now.
Mhm.
And
Nice.
he's getting a hell of an education from building things inside to managing online to marketing. It's the whole gambit. And then our other son is literally just kind of wandering around North Carolina, and we're giving him the space to just figure out who he is and what he wants to do. And I know that feeling, so we keep tabs on him. But he's running his own show now.
That's excellent. It's a chapter, right?
It is.
Yep,
And
yep.
One of the hardest things. It's so easy to forget where I was when I was that age.
Mm.
And one of the most beautiful things my wife has done is to remind me to communicate openly and effectively with our kids. Our parents weren't always as great, either of ours, at telling us how to do what to do, just the expectation of what to do.
Mhm.
And I've, especially with my son working for me, it becomes very easy to have an expectation without giving instructions. And that reminds me of how I first started building business. I would hire 4 or 5 guys, and we would show up at a job site, and I'd go work, and nobody knew how to work. I had to actually teach them how to do that so that we could all make a dollar for our efforts.
So talk about, we're going to take a break in just about 2 minutes here. Start with WPR Services. You were there from 97, almost 10 years, 8 years,
Yep.
97 to 09.
Yeah, so that was literally me learning how to work
Yeah.
in the field, in the trades.
Yep.
I always had employees with me, but I had no skill set. So
Mhm.
we together learned, and my job was to quality control while we were putting it together and to also be the number one laborer. And that was okay when I was in my 20s and
Sure.
starting in my early 30s. But by 2006, the tide had started to change in the economy, and I didn't realize that was coming.
Mhm.
And we were flipping homes on the side. And by 2009, it was time to shut the doors
Yeah.
and to
Oh,
figure
yeah.
out something else. So, but we didn't quit.
That was rough. All right. You know what? We'll take a first commercial break right here. Had a little bit of rough start. So let's take a break here. We'll be back in just about a minute with Kris Whitehead.
You're listening to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan on W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. Don't go away. More helpful information is coming right up, right here on Winning Business Radio.
Have you ever dreamt of being on the radio? Well, now is your chance. Be a radio show guest on the #1 ranked internet radio station and promote you and your business for free. Yes, you heard it, free. Business advertising right here on W4CY.com. Call 561-506-4031 now to get booked on one of our shows. That's 561-506-4031. Get your free advertising now.
And now back to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan, presenting exciting topics and expert guests with one goal in mind, to help you succeed in business. Here once again is Kevin Hallinan.
We are back with Kris Whitehead, leadership and mindset coach, business consultant, keynote speaker, and founder and owner of Iconic Alliance. It's all about lessons learned along the way and how we apply them, right? We get better 1% all the time, every day. GM Roth, 09 to 2012.
Yeah. So, I found out the hard way when I shut my business down and went to try to get a job. that if you've been a business owner for a decade, it's almost like you've been unemployed for a decade. Um, no one in any space was actually interested in me until I landed in New Hampshire and
Yeah.
he was a top 50 remodeler.
Uh-huh.
And he said, sure, I need a sales guy. And I was humble and I was hungry and I wanted to feed my family. So I jumped into that with full gusto. And over the next 3 years, I became his number one salesman as well.
Hmm.
And over the next 3 years, I learned, Kevin, all of the things that I probably should have learned before I ever started a
Yeah.
remodeling company.
Yeah.
He really taught me about marketing and sales processes and all the different functions that were inside of a company to grow it and scale it. And by the end of 3 years, he and I parted ways. He said, Kris, you're just way too much of an entrepreneur, which pretty much means I had my hands in everything. And he wanted somebody only focused, even though I was his number one sales guy.
Yeah.
But it was a pivotal moment for me to connect that daisy chain of seeing how someone could do this in a multi-million-dollar fashion is
Hmm.
able to actually accomplish it. I'm talking all the way down to networking properly. Every facet that I had not put together, I literally felt like, even though he paid me commission, I
Hmm.
felt like I was getting a college education in remodeling for working for him.
Was it design build?
It was design build. Yep. And I didn't even really understand design build. I understood you come to me with an idea and I give you a price. And design build is something where somebody has an idea of what they want, but we're supposed to be the experts. We're supposed to be able to make it look like that addition was always meant to be a part of the house. Or if you want to spend $80,000 on a bathroom, that you're actually getting value for it, or
Mhm.
150 on a kitchen, whatever. And I also was introduced to prices that were 2 to 3 times higher than what I had ever charged.
Hmm.
And there's a value proposition as well there. There's a certain type of client that is looking for that.
Hmm.
And it also, as a marketer, thinking in my own business, it started to give me something called a USP, a unique selling proposition. Like, what is the value that we actually bring to the table? And I realized, and I don't hold me, in low regard,
Hmm.
but I realized that I was playing the game on such a small level because of who I was surrounded with, where
Yeah.
I was doing business. And when I got around people that were doing bigger things, my dream grew to match the people that I was around. It was a beautiful,
Outstanding.
beautiful experience.
We talk about that a lot in our business. Talk about, if you could, I'll throw you a slight curveball. Why is it that people see themselves in that level or around those people? Okay, you mentioned, for example, dealing in prices twice or whatever the factor was, 3
Mhm,
times.
mhm.
Why do some people struggle when they try to sell something that's that much more expensive?
Well, I know on some levels, a lot of the people that are selling things have never purchased that kind of thing.
Right.
I also know that they don't live the lifestyle of their ideal client.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but it certainly can create a disconnect when someone's saying, hey, I'm willing to hand over this boatload of money, like what you make in a year for one project.
Right.
And I want to be taken care of a certain way. But if you're not living in that example, you don't understand the mistakes that have
Mm.
happened probably in the past when they've hired someone. You
Mhm.
don't understand the lack of communication that takes place. So you miss out on integrity, you miss out on communication, you miss out on innovation, because usually people that are doing things for less money are doing it the way it's always been done. And eventually you miss out on the whole goal of why they were trying to accomplish it in the first place.
Excellent.
I believe when you are willing to take the risk on yourself and put yourself around people that are performing at a much higher level, yeah, it's humbling. It's very humbling. But if you're willing to bust your butt and you're willing to learn from your own mistakes and you're willing to innovate through that process, that you will find yourself in the same position they are almost by default.
Love it. So you got into coaching in 2010, right?
Mm.
How did that
Yeah.
happen?
I
Ish,
was, I
2011,
was,
2010.
yeah, I was the biggest client that needed it. So, um, as a 24-year-old, I started my first business. By the time I was 34, 35, I'd shut it down. I came to work at a job, and at the time as an entrepreneur, my identity was very much wrapped around the business that I owned, the men that I took care of, all the things, the ego, everything that comes with that. And here I am going back to get a job. My income is limited. There's a ceiling on everything that I do.
Mhm.
Apparently, even though it's a commission-based job, he wants 100 hours a week of my time on him. If he sees me doing anything else, he gets really jealous. All of those things really started to hurt. quite a bit.
Interesting. And Think to Succeed. Tell us about that business.
So in 2010, 2011, like you were asking, here I am, the biggest client. I realize that I need personal development. And I start learning that the unconscious mind actually creates loops. So you can go take action in a lot of different ways, but what ends up happening is if you don't keep innovating, you actually just complete the same loop you were just on. It might just be a bigger circle. And as I started to learn how to control my unconscious mind, mostly by repetitive action or repetitive communication, I started realizing that I could put bigger goals out there. And then I started accomplishing those bigger goals. And because I'm a spokesperson for anything I believe in, the first thing I started doing was telling people, and this thing called social media was out and Facebook was out. So I started a small group, and we ended up growing it to thousands of people. And I started sharing mindset tips of how you can actually achieve greater things in life. And people loved it. And from there, it really started this evolution of realizing that if I have information that people need and simply sharing it with them, that there's a value exchange and they're willing to exchange money for that. And what it really started for me was not me standing on a soapbox teaching people. It started me down a path of taking risks on myself so that I could come back and report to people the good and the bad of it. And I've been doing it ever since because I absolutely love it. I believe when you become an entrepreneur that it's a lifestyle choice. I don't believe that it's just a way to make money. I believe, and I wrote in my book that entrepreneurism is a jealous mistress. Like if you don't pay attention to her for a while, she's going to move on and she's going to do it with some anger behind her. Like you're going to remember her name. And so I started understanding that if it's truly a lifestyle choice, then I have to start aligning with that and stop playing out of integrity with that in a lot of different ways. Because what was happening to me was that I was giving everything to the business, but there were these other pillars that I wasn't paying attention to. My health was starting to decline just a little bit. I'm eating fast food because I'm starving between clients, or my
and you're busy. Go.
Busy. Maybe I'm not talking to my wife as much as I should. I'm certainly not going out on a date night. And I'm also not working on the other part of me that makes me Kris, like my life, like the whole reason I started a business. It became all consuming.
Yeah.
And I wanted to help people understand that just because you're winning in one department doesn't mean that you're winning across the field. And I truly believe that money is a key. I mean, we have to make money to survive. It's the world we live in, but it's not the end all to be all. And it would be horrible if you spent this entire amount of time learning how to make money only to learn that you have no friends, you have no health, you have no faith, you have no anything at the end of it. And what I knew for me, because we didn't have the internet, I didn't know where to join masterminds. I didn't know where to go get proper coaching from when I was younger, except go to school, that I could actually shrink people's time, that I could, and that's exactly what you do. I help people get from point A to point B 10 times faster than I got there. So that they can go and enjoy their time. And because I truly believe that time is a much, much more valuable commodity than money is.
No doubt. So to that point, and we're going to get back to the other businesses in a minute, what is your typical workload and what do you like to do when you're not working?
So my typical workload now, and we own 5 companies now, not 3. So we've started a couple more. But my typical workload now is about 30 hours a week. There's doing these kinds of interviews. I spend my time on the front end.
Right.
My team spends the time producing the widget, whatever that widget is.
Right.
And in my free time, sir, I like to play a lot of golf and I like to play with my wife a whole bunch. We are best friends. We have a lot of fun. We do a lot of jokes, a lot of videos while we're laughing and inviting people along with us. But during the summer, it's golf. And when it starts to get colder, we start traveling when I'm speaking, in between when I'm speaking.
Nice. All right. You're the author of Becoming Iconic, How to Make Today's, I love this subtitle, How to Make Today's Ceiling Tomorrow's Floor. First of all, tell us about the book.
So that book is a culmination of about 26 vital lessons that I learned, not only being a business owner, but just growing up. Lessons like no is a complete sentence. I used to say the word no, and then I would give you 3 paragraphs as a justification why, and steal all my power away and give it right back to the other
That's
person.
good. That's
They
good.
would convince me into a yes. But that book is really there to help someone that is considering or that is already deep in the trenches of entrepreneurship how to rise above. Because what I found is that as those challenges started to happen in my life, instead of me pushing through the challenges for a bigger dream, what I started doing was lowering my dream so that I felt my ego didn't get bruised too much by it. And that was a beginning of a death sentence.
Yeah, I hear that. Why did you decide to write it, and how long was the process?
The honest answer of why I decided to write it is because there's only 1% of people in the world that actually write books, and people throw business cards away. And I knew that if I was going to elevate me to the next level, that if I walk up to you and I hand you a book, you might not read it, but you probably won't throw it away. You'll put it in the corner, especially if I sign it. And there's a little reminder of me every time you walk by it. And it doesn't matter what business I own because I put myself in print. And what was your second part of your question, sir? I forget.
What was the process of writing the book?
Well, for a lot of people, the process is a grueling 1 year, 2 year, however long they spend. I wrote my book in 4 hours. And I actually teach people how to maximize their time. I own multiple companies now, so I'm a firm believer in doing one action and having it touch 7 different areas. And if it doesn't, I tend not to do that action. I tend to delegate it out and let other people trade their time for dollars. No offense, but it's just the way, like, I'm busy. For me, writing that book, I actually had written that book online in small pieces over a 2-year period, and I picked those pieces. I hired an editor for about 10 or 11 grand, and their job was to bring back a bunch of questions, and you can't quote this way and you can't say that, and blah, blah, blah. And we turned it into a book. So 4 hours of my time, $11,000 of my money, and some really smart people to make me look really good.
Excellent. And who is it? Two questions, and we'll take a commercial break.
Sure.
Who's the book intended for, and where can they get it?
So I believe that the book is intended for just about anyone that wants to read someone telling their version of the truth. It's not a marketing book. It's not there to convince you to come to another step of what I'm selling. Primarily because I've been an entrepreneur for more than half my life. I believe that entrepreneurs will probably get the most out of it because they'll feel the pain as well as the victories inside of it. You can get it on Amazon. Just look up Becoming Iconic, and it's $10. It's a cheap book.
Perfect. I know it's available on your website too, but
yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for that. We'll be right back. We'll be back in just about a minute with Kris Whitehead. See you in a minute.
You're listening to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan on W4CY Radio. That's W4CY.com. Don't go away. More helpful information is coming right up, right here on Winning Business Radio.
The YP.com website is your local search engine. If you're looking for a good restaurant, it can help you find the right one nearby with ratings and reviews. Or if your car breaks down, you can use the YP app to find the closest repair shop. Or maybe you're just looking for something to do on a Friday night. Well, it has great local coupons for all sorts of things in your area. No matter what, when, or where, if you're looking for something, YP Local Search can help you find it. So go to YP.com or download the app to search local, find local, and save local.
And now back to Winning Business Radio with Kevin Hallinan, presenting exciting topics and expert guests with one goal in mind, to help you succeed in business. Here once again is Kevin Hallinan.
We're back with Kris Whitehead, founder and owner of Iconic Alliance. Kris, I want to get into Iconic Alliance, but I want you to tell us for just a minute about New England Custom Remodeling, which is one of the businesses, Lead Ignition Machine, which is one of the others, and maybe the ones that I don't know about.
Well,
if you can share it out loud. I mean,
yeah, of course. In order not to confuse people, we'll just keep it really simple. New England Custom Remodeling is a design build company, and the thing that we truly lean on are our 4 core values, and our second core value is communication. I realize in the design build industry that there are a whole bunch of things that can go wrong. But one of the greatest compliments that I received over and over again from my clients when I was selling is that I was so responsive. So what we teach everybody in our company, and especially in construction, is there is no such thing as over communication with our clients. Anybody can build anything, but we want to allow the people to be in control of their own environment, and we do a really good job at it. The other businesses that we own a real estate investing development company. My wife owns a boudoir company where she literally takes photos of ladies. We own Granite State Indoor Golf. We have a golf simulator.
Very cool.
It's one of my favorite hobbies. So we do that for networking. And we own Iconic Alliance, which is truly my purpose and passion. And it's a culmination of all the businesses that I had ever put together to really, really help people live the best version of their life.
That's a great description. I'm going to come back to the 4 core values in a minute or so. Tell us, you meet somebody at a bar, you meet somebody at a restaurant, meet somebody at the golf course.
Sure.
What do you tell them about Iconic Alliance in a minute?
Well, for the most part, especially if I find out that they're an entrepreneur or they're struggling in an arena, is that there are 5 pillars of life that I live by: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. And usually, if you look at that as a wheel and those are spokes on the wheel and they grade themselves from 0 to 10, I can tell them whether they have a round wheel or not. And if you do, so if you're making a lot of money, but your family life is horrible. I don't mean just your family of origin. I don't mean just your wife. I mean your friends, everything. Like, that's not good. Let's start working on those philosophies. So what we do inside of Iconic Alliance is really open the hood up and let you get in control of what your goal is and who you are right now in business and personally, and help you achieve your goals a lot faster.
Love it. All right. So you've mentioned 2 of the 4 core values: integrity, information, innovation, and income. Actually mentioned 3, innovation and income. Break those 4 down, why they're the 4, and how you help people maximize those.
So I had a coach in one of the masterminds I was in a few years ago, the one I actually ended up helping build to 8 figures. He was my coach before I started working there, and he wrote a book. And in his book, his name's Thomas Keenan, great friend of mine. And
I
in
know
his
Thomas.
book,
Yes, that's who introduced us, in fact.
Yep, he's an amazing human being, and his book was all about core values. And at the time, I'd been in business for 20 years. Everybody has core values. You put them up on the wall, your mission statement, your vision, blah, 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 blah.
You review them once every 10 years, even if you don't have to.
Right. And then all of a sudden I started realizing that I had never really sat down and asked myself, what do I really believe in? Because my business is actually an extension of me. And then I realized my core values are who I'm attracting, not only clients, but also employees, including my wife, including my friends. It's like my core values. And as I started to develop my core values, I started realizing that I could literally invest the rest of my life just talking about those, and I will attract people to me, because I believe alignment is greater than assignment. What you do does not matter nearly as much as who you are. And with 8 billion people on the earth, there's no doubt that there are at least a few hundred people that think like me. Wouldn't it be better to operate with people that think like me than trying to convince people that my way is better or their way is better, and getting into those kinds of disagreements? So when we developed our core values, if you're okay, I'll share them.
Yeah, please.
So our first is integrity. And integrity is not only doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, it also means being whole. If you have a nail in the tire and air is rushing out of it, that's not an integrity. And so that speaks to those pillars that I'm talking about. I'm actually more interested than my employees making me money or my clients making me money. I'm interested that we're creating a win-win-win, because that just keeps building on itself. It's a beautiful foundation. It leads into my second core value, which is information. That's simply communication. We do it early, we do it often, and we're effective with it, meaning that we don't just speak, we also listen to hear and make sure that we understand by repeating back to other people. It leads to core value number 3, which is innovation. Innovation is having zero ego. If you've done something for years and it doesn't work, we just change. It's okay. You're not getting in trouble, but we're going to go do something that's more effective. And it means we can't be lazy. And what I realized, because I'm a coach, If you add integrity, information, and innovation together, whatever goal you attach to it, you achieve not only easier, but it's almost guaranteed. So, our fourth core value is income. And I tell my clients this, I tell my employees this, I'm telling you this, I tell the world this, because I truly believe that if other people will align themselves with values that are similar to that, that whatever they attach to the bottom, no matter how
Yeah.
crazy it sounds, you'll
Yeah.
actually achieve it. And I've seen thousands of people do it.
Love it. Who are your clients? Where do they come from? What do they do? I know there's a cross section.
Mhm.
Give us an understanding of that.
So, New England custom remodeling, people are going to be from Boston this way. We're about
Right.
45 minutes north of you.
Mhm.
And so that's local population. As far as
Yep.
Iconic Alliance goes, our clients are all over the United States. I don't typically work with people outside of the US because I don't know the laws and how they work everywhere as
Right.
well. But we help people that own dog grooming businesses. We help people that own trucking companies. We help people that own financial companies. It's any business that's out there in the US, because the biggest thing, again, alignment's greater than assignment. What I realize is, as a collective, as a community, if we share similar core values and we treat each other with the same types of respect, it's just a huge family. And Kevin, you might know something or know somebody that I don't know. And if we're really good friends and you know that I'm going to treat them right, you're going to refer that person to me so that I can get business done. And that
Mhm.
builds reciprocity. So then I'm going to want to look for somebody to help you out. And I found that to not only grow business, but to grow pleasure in life, because you're hanging out
Yeah.
with similar people.
So let's focus on Iconic Alliance.
Okay.
Why do people come to you? Actually, two questions. I'll give you the easy one first. How do they find you? And
Mhm.
secondly, why do they come to you?
So people find me. I'm on social media everywhere. I've got 30
Yep.
or 40,000 followers on Instagram. We've got
Yep.
5 to 10,000 followers on Facebook. I'm constantly putting out videos. I have a private Facebook group for free that people can
Mhm.
join, where we offer the tips. So people find me because,
Yep.
and the book. So these are all
Yep.
lead magnets. I also network locally a lot. Um, why do they come to me? Well, that's my secret formula of how I show up vulnerably and authentically. I
Mhm.
believe that there are a lot of people out there that promote all of the beautiful stuff, and they don't really talk so much about the losses. And if they do talk about the losses, they kind of say it's my fault, but here's the reason why it's my fault. Um, I don't talk from that perspective. I speak a lot about my relationship with my wife, believe it or not. As a
Mhm.
business guy, I talk
Yep.
about my failures in communication with her.
Mhm.
I find relatable things that I know that all entrepreneurs are most likely going through, and I speak on those. And when one of those things hits, people then tend to follow me. They'll follow me for a little bit, then they'll come check something out. And I have super low cost offers for people to come check out, to give it a taste test, so to speak. And slowly but surely we invite them into the family.
Yeah, I think I have it up here. You have a couple of different levels of engagement. Just tell us briefly about those. Uh,
Okay. So I do events all over the US, but locally I do a $20 pop-up event where I teach people the power of social media and how they can generate free leads. I've done it to the tunes of millions of dollars. We've taught a lot of other people how to do it. So that's $20 to come check us out. And you get 3 hours, and you also get a lunch. Our next opportunity is for $250. We actually come bring your laptop, and we will set your social media up so that it's ready to go professionally. And then we host a 2 day event in Boston. And that's for you to meet the entire team, as well as my friends across the United States that are good in different areas of business and life. And we get into it. We get into it big time there. And from there, if you've made it through all those gauntlets and we like you and you like us, then we invite you to be a part of the Iconic Alliance. Yeah,
Excellent.
we have
And
different levels depending where you are.
what kind of time does that entail? What kind of mind share does that require of a client?
So, timing at the lowest level, you're just going to probably listen to me talk once a week. It's very,
Mhm.
very inexpensive, and I talk to you about all sorts of those 5 pillars I was talking about. I hit on. At the mid level, you're a growing business, so you have sustainable income,
Mhm.
and you're learning to scale your business. So I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that and how you get out front and delegate everything else in the back. And at the highest level, you're working with me one-to-one. Most
Mhm.
likely you're coming to our podcast room and you're starting to record. I'm going to start teaching you how to write a book, how to market that book. I'm going
Mhm.
to teach you how to speak on stages, how to do things like you and I are doing right now so that you
Right.
can get your message out. And that's a little bit more time intensive, but usually somebody by that point is either sick and tired of being sick and tired and they're just ready to go for it,
Yeah.
or they have scaled their business and now they're out front and they're like, well, what do I do now? I have this whole system put together and we're making money, but I don't know what to do. I know how to help people once they get to that place.
So you probably refer others quite a bit,
Quite a bit.
whether they be financial advisors or attorneys or
Yes.
somebody succeeds at a high level. How big is your team? Your the Iconic team?
The Iconic team is 6 people
Yep.
total that work in-house, paid
Right.
by
That's
me.
what I meant. I know you have a big network of people you
Yeah.
do stuff with. Yeah.
Yes. 6 people.
And upcoming events. Anything you want to plug?
So we have an event coming November 18th that's local. It's one of those little $20 events where you can come for
Right.
3 hours. It's right here. We have 5,000 square feet at our office, and we'll give you lunch and you can come learn about us. And we're going to be putting a lot of stuff out on Facebook, primarily IG too. But Facebook, if you find me, my name's the Kris Whitehead is what was available.
Okay.
KRIS.
Yeah.
I know.
Your real
But
name's Bob Smith, but yeah.
right. But come check me out. We're going to be
Yep.
hosting some webinars soon because it's getting colder around here, and I
Mhm.
just want to start sharing the message of, especially now that the economy is getting a little iffy with people, and I
Right.
know people are home. It's like, look, there's a lot that you can do if you get your ducks in a row to really benefit yourself, not only financially, but also emotionally. And
Mm.
here's the thing: I'm doing something called 75 hard right now. Have you ever heard of that?
Uh, exercise, right? It's workout.
So sort of.
Yeah.
So there are 2 workouts a day. One of them has to be outside. They
Yeah.
must be 45 minutes each and they have to be 3 hours apart. You have to drink a gallon of water a day. You can't have any alcohol or cheap meals.
Mhm.
You have to take a selfie and you have to be willing to read 5 to 10 pages, or excuse me, 10 pages of a personal or professional development book. If on day 74 you forget one of those tasks, you start over on day 1. And the reason that I bring that up
Yeah.
is that I like doing that starting November 1st because I
Mhm.
know how cold it is up here in New England. And I
Mhm.
know that I'm going to hit all the major holidays where everybody's drinking and gorging on food. And I end up on the end of that weighing less, more clear headed, and really focused. So even though it does have physical parts to it, it's actually a mindset um, uh,
Wow.
type of exercise.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is the same reason I want to do the webinars. Imagine, Kevin, if when people start to slow down, which is what's going on right now a little bit in the economy, they're listening to the
Mhm.
mass media and they're starting to say,
Mhm.
whoa, I don't want to spend. Well, we all know
Right.
what happens when people don't spend. What
Right.
if you took the opportunity to start marketing yourself now? What if you took the opportunity to get yourself healthy and actually pushed on the gas pedal when everybody else was receding? What do you think is actually going to happen when the economy opens back up? You're going to be
Mhm.
10 paces
Way
ahead,
ahead.
not
Way ahead.
one. And that's exactly what's happened to me, and it's what I help other people do. So we'll probably be doing more of that coming really soon too.
Outstanding. The website is www. I hate saying that. I don't even know why I did. Iconicalliance.com. Who in the listening and viewing audiences should reach out to you, Kris, and why?
If if you're an entrepreneur and you're struggling, or if you're an entrepreneur and you're actually really successful, but you know that the 5 people you surround yourself with on a regular basis are not pushing you to your next level,
Mm.
I'm the guy you need to reach out to because there is no limit to where we push. That's why I wrote the book, Make Today's Ceiling Tomorrow's Floor. There is no stop to this game.
Outstanding. No finish line, right?
No, sir.
Love it. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry for the technical challenges at the beginning. Thanks for powering through with me.
Yes, sir.
Really appreciate you taking the time.
I really appreciate you having me on. And like I said, it's not an idle threat. I want to get you here to New Hampshire and get you live and start asking you some questions too.
I'm in. I'm
All
in, and
right, man.
I'll have you back again too. Thank
Thanks.
you, everybody, for watching and listening. This is a show about business, business successes, business challenges. If you've got concerns about the growth of your company, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook at Winning Business Radio, or drop me a note, Kevin at winningbusinessradio.com, one of my several email addresses. Our company is Winning Incorporated. We're part of Sandler Training. Some of you may be familiar with Sandler Training. We develop sales teams into high achievers and sales leaders into true coaches and mentors. We're not right for everybody, but hey, maybe we should have a talk. Thank you to engineer and producer Juan for another job well done. Thank you, Juan. Be sure to join us again next week. That's Monday, November 13th, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll do it all again. Until then, this is Kevin Hallinan.
You've been listening to Winning Business Radio with your host, Kevin Hallinan. If you missed any part of this episode, the podcast is available on Talk4 Podcasting and iHeartRadio. For more information and questions, go to winningbusinessradio.com or check us out on social media. Tune in again next week and every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to listen live to Winning Business Radio on W4CY Radio, W4CY.com. Until then, let's succeed where others have failed and win in business with Kevin Hallinan and Winning Business Radio.